I want actually one topic here, which Anjali and I are both passionate about. The difference is she does something about it. I just talk about it. I think for the large part, and Kirthiga, you have like made massive strides in that area. So I think it would be best if Anjali asked this question and not me.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks for that. And I think, this is obviously the question of the huge responsibility that you carry as a woman leader, right? And while none of us shun, ownership of the fact that each of us have to work twice as hard, and everyone doesn't necessarily get the same set of opportunities to get to where you are. And India, we're not proud of the fact that our statistics are actually getting worse, not better. And the pandemic has worsened that significantly. Just 7% of Indian urban women are even part of the workforce. But aside from just coming out every day and speaking about it and boiling up the ocean, would love to just understand some of the playbooks and initiatives that you're actually part of that you think have worked. And having spent time in both markets, what do you think we should do differently in order to solve this, really top of funnel problem?
At Softbank, if I take my most recent experience, I deployed $1 billion of new capital across enterprise, health tech, deep tech, gaming. My last investment was a crypto NFT investment. Managed an overall portfolio of over 5 billion, including the ones that I inherited.
By the way, I'm sorry I'm interrupting. I didn't know that. I only realized it when I heard your panel on NFTs a day or 2 days ago, whenever that was. And here it goes. I said, there's another hidden talent and experience tool that Kirthiga possesses. So now it's all making sense. Sorry for that.
All right. So, and as much that I feel so grateful for the impact that I was able to make on the investing side, Anjali and Manish talking about playbooks, and I feel just as deeply about the impact on the diversity and inclusion side and the platform that SoftBank really gave me to advance our initiatives there. So we took it in 3 different dimensions. First, it always starts internally. Our CHRO had created a diversity council, diversity mandates. I came partnered very closely with her. We set up affinity groups, whether it's for gender, LGBTQ, underrepresented minorities, made sure that there was the right executive sponsors for these affinity groups, set goals in terms of what we wanted to do in terms of our hiring goals. I joined as the first female investing partner, but I was thrilled that by the time I left, we had 3. And now we also have our first female investing managing partner in Lydia, who I'm so excited about and thrilled to see that that's how far we have come. That's internally. 2, we did a lot in terms of our ecosystem. So for example, I sponsored and championed an initiative called Connect and Lead, where we brought together women leaders across our ecosystem. So rising women leaders. So with a very business oriented goal, how is it that we can help create the same kind of networks that men naturally have between these women, so that someone can Uber, can pick up a call and talk to someone at WeWork and just have the kind of business discussions that come so naturally when you have those connections. The last thing that I championed was then looking at a program called Emerge, which is a fund for brilliant companies by diverse founders. We had our CEO summit of, and the numbers, as you can see, of how many women CEOs were there were dismal, and I came back feeling really sick that those were the numbers. And again, my CHRO and I, we partnered to launch this initiative along with a tremendous set of people. And that now has launched in Europe. We also have the Opportunity Fund that focuses on the Black, Hispanic, Latinx, Native American community. So those are some of the initiatives, Anjali and Manish, that we can really do. But there's one message here that I just want to leave. It's that it's about these big initiatives, but it's also about what we do every single day. Manish, Anjali, if I had noticed a little bit before, I did notice that you had in your keynote speakers 3 men and 1 woman. I would have told you, where's that 50-50? Okay, so I'm sure next time that will happen. But it's truly what we can do. And I take responsibility that I did not highlight it. I should have, right? And I have done that in the past. I had a dean of a major school, and it was not Dean John Levin, just given my role with Stanford Business School. Let me just clarify that, but a different dean who came and was visiting Softbank, and he was bringing his colleagues with him from academia. And guess what? There were 3 white men who were going to show up. I just sent him a note. I said, surely you have some amazing, diverse academic faculty that you can bring with you. That's all I said. And he brought someone who was amazing, made her go first, and she was phenomenal. So it is in the big things, but honestly, even more importantly, it's what everyone here does every single day.
Yeah, thank you for making it real, and thank you for spotting that gap in equal representation. We certainly need to get better there, but we'll try. Thank you for that push and that nudge. Actually, I want to ask a question. Which
you didn't think this was going to be easzy, right? I mean, of course, I'm going to ask you.
With you, it's never right. You want to keep everybody on their toes. I know Anjali may have some other question, but I also looked at this one. It's often talked about, right? Find mentors at the right time and right, stages of your life, but easier said than done. Like, how do you spot, find, engage mentors? Is there a mentor model that you want to discuss here and share with entrepreneurs? Because almost everybody's found this job is so lonely, right? Entrepreneurship, even if you have co-founders, it still gets lonely in your own space of growth and scaling. Any models that you would recommend that have worked for you, or you think could work for entrepreneurs, in the larger scheme of things?
I am a person who believes in taking help from every quarter that I can possibly get. Okay. So, and I have approached mentorship in many different ways. One, I've approached mentorship for specific skills. When I was doing product management at Good that was acquired by Motorola, one of the things that I really wanted to work on was communication skills. And by the way, even if you ask me 30 years from now, what are the things that you're working on, I'll talk communication, because I think one can never get good enough with communication, and something that you constantly work on. So I went to my CMO and said, you're going to see me present to the CEO many times over the year. In addition to participating in the conversation, I would love it if you just give me feedback on, did I present well? Did I come across concisely? Did I provide the right context? I would love just ongoing feedback. And Shiva, guess what? People love to be asked for feedback, right? And love to be asked for help. And especially if you make it so easy, because I was not asking her for any additional big burden of time. It was, she was going to be there in the meeting. I'm going to be there in the meeting. I'm just asking her to watch for something else in addition to what she would ask me, and just talk me 2 or 3 lines after the session. It was game changing in terms of the investment that she made in me and how I felt that I had grown. And of course, it's something that I will continue to work on. So think about skills specific training. Then there is just leadership. How do you think about career? And a construct that is often suggested is have your personal board of directors. Who are the 2, 3, 4 people that you will go reach out to as you want input on major life decisions and how to do things. And of course, think about whose board of directors you are on. Always think about where you can give back. I've also found huge support from communities. H2 India is a community of tech entrepreneurs that I was part of the founding team. Rajan was also there. And when we started, we probably had like 5 tech executives, and it's so tremendous to see the growth in that community. So whether it's H2 or other communities like that, think about how is it that you can leverage communities. And the final thing that I'll say is executive coaches and even therapy. I used to think about, you only need therapy if you don't have good friends to talk to. But it's a whole different ballgame, even like having executive coaches, where she will sit down with me every single month, keep me accountable to my goals, versus people that I go to on an ad hoc basis. So leverage different sources of help, mentorship, guidance to make you your best self.
Amazing. And you said personal board of directors. Did I hear it right?
Yeah.
Yes.
First one I've heard that. That's amazing. Says so much. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing something personal also, which will really help all of us.
I'd just
Yeah.
like to get a couple of more questions in, given I'm also conscious of time here, but would love to get, given your operator lens as well as investor lens, would love to get your view in the India context, of course, on what are like the next, 2-3 areas of tech innovation that are keeping you excited or get you excited, given India's competencies.
Anjali, when I moved from an operating executive role to an investing role, Deep Mishra, the senior managing partner at Softbank, now with General Catalyst, he said, Kirthiga, in a operating career, you get to see technology transformations linearly and sequentially, one at a time. Whereas in an investing role, you get to see multiple such transformations happening at the same time. So it is so exciting to see the number of industries that are being disrupted and the technology innovations that are disrupting. AI and data changing the world was a key thesis for the Vision Fund, and we're just at the beginning of seeing that play out in across sectors, whether it's agtech, edtech, enterprise, health tech. That's one whole area. Deep tech, I've been very excited about seeing the deep tech companies coming from India, still very early nascent, but how is it that grows? Personally, at a global level, very excited about where crypto, NFTs, blockchain is going. And I was seeing some of the stats, even in India. I think I heard 6% of people in India have Manish is smiling. He's probably one of those, top 10
It's something we've all heard. We just can't believe it, but you hear it all the time.
Right? Yeah. And by the way, when we started Facebook operation in India, 8 million people were on Facebook in India, right? And this was, by the way, not 20 years ago. This was 2010, 8 million people on Facebook in India. So transformation can happen very quickly. And think about the kind of change that you can see in decades. And back to your question, Anjali, about women representation, it is so important to do it right from the very beginning. Maxine Williams, who's the Chief Diversity Officer at Facebook, in her report 2 or 3 years ago, she said, if we really want to get to 50-50, we almost have to fire everyone and start again, because it is impossible to kind of catch up. It will, and the numbers for gender equity continues to move out by decades and decades. So what are we seeing that is coming up? And how is it that we can make sure that we have the right gender representation or other kinds of diversity from the very beginning is going to be so important. And we have a diversity crisis across, in terms of the roles that people play, AI talent. Even the biggest companies like Google and Facebook, we have 10 or 15% representation. And if you want to build products that are human-centered, ethical, innovative, you need to have that diversity. As you can tell, I'm deeply passionate about this topic, and I can't encourage and push everyone in this audience to really think deeply about it.
Great. Would love to actually just ask you a follow-on question on that. And very interesting that you said how important it is to keep, even talking about it and doing things about it. But one thing, at least I've always noticed, is that people tend to talk about their experiences more in the past tense and not really fully be authentic in sharing what they're currently going through. And with women, it's even harder to find women in the same peer group or, like you said, community as you're walking along in your journey, who are experiencing the same things with the same velocity as you are. And in the run up to this, I was so excited to learn that you're writing this book. And in many ways, I thought you're actually choosing to write it now when you're right at the peak and the best, I'm sure the best is yet to come for you. But just keen and curious to understand, why did you choose this time, and why do you think the time is now to share your journey, and just what was the backstory to deciding to publish your story?
Anjali, I truly believe that the best is yet to come. Facebook has posters 1% done. I truly believe 1% done. We will all live to be, 80, 90, 100 and beyond, unless something untoward happens. So I still have a few decades to continue to make an impact, and I have big, bold goals. Why the book and why now? I actually signed the contract for the book with my agent 3 years ago. And like Softbank was so intense that I didn't have a chance to really work on it. My agent has patiently pinged me every month, and I have promised her that it's going to be a better book now than if I had done it 3 years ago, because it's actually a good time. It's a good time to have enough time to step away from my experience of building Facebook India, which is a key storyline in the book. It's about my experience building high growth businesses with that as a storyline. But of course, I bring in my experiences from before Facebook and what I have seen from the investing lens after. So that's a key storyline. Another storyline is the journey of a woman in technology. And if there is something there that helps even one person find tips, tools, techniques to strive for bigger, bolder, more ambitious goals, I would consider that a good use of me spending this time. And third, Anjali and Manish and team, is also for me a celebration of the people who helped build Facebook India. When I started Facebook in India, I had committed to interviewing the first 100 hires. And as all of you know, the first 100 hires means I spent a lot of time hiring. But as part of this book, I am actually reaching out to the first 100, getting their stories and how it shaped them personally, professionally, and what they take with them. And so it's a matter truly of the heart, mind, soul, and spirit. If I walk out today and get hit by a bus, my SPAC will happen, my funds will happen, everything else will happen. I feel this is a book that I can uniquely write. So it is an important priority and something that I do want to prioritize. It is not easy given the velocity of things, and there are many other commitments coming to you where you're accountable to someone else. But this is when it's so personal, it's making it a priority and making time for it is important. So thank you for asking. And as I share it here, again, it keeps me even more accountable to make sure that I carve out the time and share.
We'll remind you, chapter 3, where it is tomorrow morning.
I know. On my flight, it's my task for my 5-hour flight. So that's.
Are you still on the East Coast?
I am.
Oh,
so it's not. It was So it's not quite 6:30. So thank you for that.
How do you keep it all together and do it all? But anyway, you answered that already. All
right. But actually, let me tell you, how do I keep it all together? I mean, I know so one, truly it is about, surrounding yourself with people who believe in you almost more than you believe in yourself. If any of you are in the stages of thinking about your right partner, the partner that you choose will be the most important career decision that you make, more than what industry you're focused on, what you're doing, what your hiring decisions are. So really choose the right partner. I wouldn't be here having this conversation if not for just extraordinary support and encouragement from my husband, Dave. That's one. Two, there was a time where people felt keep work and life separate. I go back home and I talk to my girls about what's going on in work, and they know when I'm having a busy time. And equivalently at work, if my mom is having a surgery and I need to go, they know, and they then support me and accommodate me. So bringing your whole self both to work and to life has been an important part of keeping it all together. The other practice that I picked up at Facebook was this practice of writing your big, bold vision. So you're already in March. So every one of you, think about, let's say it's January 1st, 2023. What is it that you want to look back on in the year? And it could be a short paragraph, it could be long in detail. They say just writing it down makes it 42% more likely that you will make it happen. So why wouldn't you take those odds of just writing it down? And if you actually share it, it becomes even higher. And by the way, when I talk about having processes that really scale, at Facebook, we had a leader who championed this, and we used to actually allocate time to actually write a personal vision statement, which included both personal and professional, and managers. And to the extent that people were comfortable sharing, they would share it with their managers. And as a manager, I would then be expected to not just make sure that we're nurturing the professional goals, but also make sure that we have things in place to nurture and foster personal goals.
Very interesting. And again, super sensitive of time.
Yes.
I see we have less than 5 minutes left. I want to ask one last question. If Anjali has any, maybe she can ask her final one as well. But mine is a bit about Athena, because look, when you look at it from a distance, it's a SPAC, and SPACs have had their good days, and we'll see where SPACs will go. But there's so much behind it, right? You peel the onion, and the way it's come together, who's behind it, you and your partners. I mean, it's a very incredibly differentiated, almost mission behind it. But that's what I read publicly. Actually, I've never had a chance to speak to you about why Athena. What is Athena trying to accomplish? I mean, I know it's scaling up, and so obviously some good things are happening, but from your own words, from the horse's mouth, why Athena? What is it trying to do?
Manish, I had 3 companies from my Softbank portfolio that went public via a SPAC. The first one was IonQ. It's a quantum computing company. I invested 61 million in that earlier last year. And given that Softbank is a public company, we actually have to disclose these results. So the last quarterly results that we published, that 61 million was 118 million. And this is all in a matter of within a year, right? 2, WeWork went public via a SPAC as well. So having seen those experiences from the other side, I knew that there were like certain use cases where in both of these companies really, and again, there were different choices to stay private, go public. If you're going public, for these companies, the examples that I gave, IPO, the SPAC was really the preferred route to go public. So having seen that, I knew that there was a market for, and I knew that there was a use case for really transformative companies that would really benefit from the SPAC route. So that was part 1. Then I met with Isabel, who is the founder of the Athena franchise of SPACs. She was seeing, and Anjali, this goes back to your question of what can we do on the gender side. She also was looking at SPACs for her portfolio company. She had a fund, and she saw that the 3% of SPACs had any woman in management team and C-level positions. And as SPAC was seeing this re-emergence as a way of going public, wanting to be there and make sure that there are as many women as possible to participate in that resurgence was important to her. So she created this series of all female-led SPACs. And what it did was that it attracted phenomenal people. On my board, I have Judith Roden, who has been on the boards of BlackRock and Citi and Aetna and Comcast and EDS and many private companies, the first female president ever of Ivy League University, UPenn, first female president of Rockefeller. And she's just one of now about 30 people who are in the Athena franchise. So we have very clearly and very quickly established ourselves as one of like the top 5 quality SPACs in the market with operator investor expertise, execution superpowers, and a focus on long-term value creation versus many other SPACs for whom it's transactional. And for me, of the many things that I could choose to do, it was a mission in addition to, of course, the financial profile of SPAC returns that made it the right thing for me to do.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, so if there are amazing companies that you know of, transformative companies that are in deep tech, health tech, enterprise, fintech, who are rightly valued in, call it, the 1.5 billion to 4 billion range, please send them to us. We're truly one of the top 5.
I think the macro is aligning to give you a lot of opportunities, rightly valued as well. Yes. Lots of great companies, but they'll also be rightly valued very soon. Absolutely. Would love to help out with that if we can. Anjali, do you have I don't know, it's so hard, right? We keep going on with Kirthiga, and we may not have covered like 2% of her life. I
actually want to ask the participants a question of what they will remember and what they will take away.
Should we post?
Sure. Yes.
Post it. Yeah. We're also getting questions in from our social. So let me just first post this. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, let's keep checking that. Sorry, we're getting a lot of feeds. Some are here, some are elsewhere. Can I, this was a question, but we'll see. I don't know, we'll get response in real time or not. But this was a question that came up in our internal discussion yesterday as we were planning through these. And two people in consonance said, how, Manish, how long do you know Kirthiga? Is she like, did she grow up in India? Is she an India person? Is she like a US person? I was like, I don't think I can like box her because she's done amazing things in both markets. She took a frontier decision to come back to a frontier market, and then she's back and doing amazing things in the US, and she's still involved. Actually, maybe that's a question, audience will generally have, Kirthiga, when they look at your rich background. I mean, is 5 years out, 10 years out, is it going to continue? You're going to keep picking the best themes from both markets, financial markets, as well as, value creation in businesses. Are you going to be like, or are you going to pick one over the other? Where are we going to see you in, 10 years from now?
Yeah.
And sorry, one did come up. Creating good company culture, importance of D&I for learning and scaling. Interesting question. So yeah. I don't know, whichever one you want to answer.
No, totally. No, he said that was, Devanshu said that was his takeaway, which is good to hear. Yeah. About culture and D&I for learning and scaling. On D&I for learning and scaling, again, it's not just about gender diversity. I remember when we were hiring the sales team for Facebook in India, the first hire came naturally from Google. The second hire also came from Google. The third hire was someone who they came from Yahoo, or at least the third candidate who was just amazing, who we wanted to hire. And I actually put my foot down and I said, listen, we are selling in a market where print, television, radio are dominant. We really need people with that expertise. And on one hand, I had the team protesting, saying, but this is such an amazing candidate. We are trying to build, we have such aggressive goals. We really need that person now. I said, we will, if that's the right, if that is really the right candidate, it'll work out at some later point of time. But at this point, I really, really want to make sure we have people from print, radio, television. And so sure enough, the team worked harder, bought us the right candidates. We got print, radio, television. And by the way, we went back 3 months later and we did hire this amazing person from Yahoo. And of course, one angle of that could be the team said, you wasted 3 months of our time. We could have just hired that person first. But in my view, if I hadn't put my foot down, we would have never gotten my print radio, right? So think about diversity as needed for your business. And it's a really important takeaway. And thank you for all of the other takeaways that you're sending.
It's quite a few. And actually,
there are two more that I'm getting on the show. How much time do we have, Manish?
I think we probably should wrap up because you are rolling into your next session. Yeah. So then as I wrap up, Manish, to answer your question, for me, I land in India, I feel I'm home. I land in the US, I feel I'm home. I'm very grateful to have two countries I feel at home in, and I could not be more excited to be among the set of founders. I spoke about building operations for 3.5 billion users, building a business that's now $1 billion plus, managing a portfolio of 5 billion, but beyond all of those numbers, even thinking about my Facebook India journey, being at the heart of a country that was going mobile, going digital, seeing the impact that it had on people, businesses, economy, society was truly life satisfying. And as I think about all of the visions that this Zoom session represents and all of the ways that the founders and the teams here are changing the way we live and work, that is what drives me, motivates me, and gives me so much energy. So thank you, Manish. Thank you, Anjali, for having me.
What a wrap as a message. Kirthiga, thank you so much. I mean, you are our last keynote, by the way, and we reserve the better gender for the end. I have to make up for
it. Good save.
And thank you so much. I mean, thank you for having a very candid chat with both Anjali and me and sharing so much that we'll actually keep reflecting on for a while. Thank you very much, Kirthiga, for your time. Have a safe flight back and hope you get done what you want to get done until tomorrow.
Chapter 3. Until tomorrow. All right.
So much, Kirthiga, and I hope it's not just about chapter 3, but many, many, many chapters ahead for you in the coming weeks and days and years. But thank you so much for giving us your time this evening.
Thank you, Anjali. Thank you, Manish.
Have a nice day. Take